you can become a deliberate creator. You can become someone whose life is full of everything you want and none of what you don't want. It just takes deliberate focus, applied moment by moment. Welcome to Worthiness Wednesdays. I'm Perry Gruber, the Alignment Guy. For over a decade, literally more than 10 years, I've been helping people master their mindsets so they can create lives they love and get results without the burnout or the hustle. And in this episode today, I want to talk about something that not very many people in this You Create Your Reality business are aware of, but I became aware of it in a conversation I had just a few weeks ago at an event I was attending. This conversation illustrates how important it is that people understand that this You Create Your Reality business, this manifesting business, this is a full-time job. This is something you should be doing every minute of your day. And the practical matter of it is you are doing it every single day by default. You're more often than not unaware that you are creating your reality. So you're oblivious to the fact that you're creating your reality, which is why creating your reality a full-time job is so important. And I'm going to talk more about that in a moment. But first, I want to introduce the conversation that had me come to this realization, the realization that proves why my clients are so much better at manifesting their lives than ordinary people who believe in this You Create Your Reality business. So let me describe what happened in this conversation. There was a woman in this event that I went to. Her name is Amina. She's an Eastern European visiting the United States to visit her brother. And she asked me what I do for a living. And typically when people ask me what I do for a living, I tell them as little as possible because I'm not about doing to make my living. I allow the universe to make my living. On my behalf, I just set the intention and then the universe does the rest. That's a focus. That's something that it becomes natural when one realizes that they're at the center of the universe and that the universe is allowing everything that person at the center of the universe is wanting to flow into that person's life without any effort on that person's part. So when this person asked me what I do for a living, instead of giving her my boilerplate answer of as little as possible, I told her I'm a spiritual teacher. That's not something I often share, but she was receptive to it. And as a result of me giving her that answer, she asked me what it is what spirituality do I offer to the people I spiritually teach. And that's where I described to her the positively focused framework. After hearing the overview of the framework, she said, I believe in manifesting too. And before I could even think about it, my response to that comment was, well then, your life must be going really, really great. You must have everything you want coming into your life experience, because if you believe that you manifest your reality, then your reality is reflecting everything that you're wanting, right? And she said, not really. And it's interesting because when I was saying what I told you I just said, I was thinking, of course, everybody's life is reflecting back to them the reality that they are creating, whether they're doing it deliberately or not. And so if she was really believing in law of attraction or manifesting as a reality, she could have just answered the question, yes, that's right. But instead, when I asked her if her life is full of everything that she wants because she's manifesting, she said, it's easier said than done. And that response was so rich because it clarified the difference between someone who is what I call a Sunday Christian and someone who really digs into the power, the capability of this You Create Your Reality business. So I was describing to this person, Amina is her name, I was describing to this person how that's right. It is easier said than done. It actually is easier done than said once you've practiced for a while. But for most people, when they first learn about this You Create Your Reality business, they resonate with it. They enjoy learning about it. They become smarter about it, but they don't deliberately apply it for very long in their lives. They typically default back to the oblivious created reality that they were doing before they discovered this You Create Your Reality manifestation business. And the same was true with Amina. So she was describing to me how in her life, she isn't deliberately putting into practice what she believes, and as a result of that, her life is composed of some things that she likes and a lot of things that she doesn't like. It was such a good conversation. It totally clarified for me the difference between myself and others who believe they live this manifestation business, this law of attraction business, and my clients who are deliberately practicing this positively focused practice, which is based on the fundamental spiritual principles underlying how physical reality works. They're deliberately practicing it. My clients are deliberately practicing it every minute of their lives, or at least striving for that. And as a result of that, they get more of what they want and far less of what they don't want in their life experience. So let me clarify what I meant when I used the phrase Sunday Christians a minute ago. And then I want to tell you another story. This is so good. A Sunday Christian, you can probably surmise what that means. A Sunday Christian is a person that goes to church on Sunday. They believe that they're practicing their Christianity on that day. But then on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, they're not in their belief. They're not in their Christianity. That's what I call a Sunday Christian. In other words, they believe their Christianity, but they don't actually practice it on a moment-by-moment basis. They don't practice their Christianity as a full-time job. They only go on Sunday. And if you ever have attended an Abraham seminar, where these seminars are the preeminent law of attraction events around the world, you'll notice that there are thousands of people that go to that event, and you'll discover if you talk to them, and I've been to over 7, you'll discover that many of these people who are going to these events, they're going to the event just like a Sunday Christian would. They're going to the event to get the jolt, the inspiration, the excitement of being at the event, but they don't necessarily practice law of attraction as a full-time job. The challenge of not doing that is you're manifesting full-time. And so if you're not aware of the thoughts and beliefs and emotions that you're experiencing at any given minute, literally any given now, then you're creating by default. Especially if you're allowing your attention to kind of willy-nilly go hither and yon on this subject and that subject and another subject. This is one of the reasons why social media is so potentially negative, because social media streams often deliver up to you what your dominant focus is. And if you're not being deliberate about your focus, what's your dominant focus, then you amplify whatever's in your dominant focus. And this is why this manifestation business needs to be a full-time job, so that you get to the point where you are by default, this is so good, where you're by default choosing better feeling vibrational frequencies if you're at that level, or choosing better feeling thoughts and beliefs, or adjusting your thoughts and beliefs so you're constantly in a positive emotion. This is what practicing this positively focused practice, or law of attraction, or this You Create Your Reality business, this is what it looks like to have it be a full-time job. When I was talking with Amina at this event about what I was talking about, what I'm sharing with you, I could see her eyes began to glaze over as I was talking about how important it is to focus deliberately moment by moment. And the reason why her eyes were glazing over is because she was having a belief confrontation at that moment. The overriding dominant momentum of her beliefs is to be unconscious moment by moment, to not be paying attention to everything that's going on in her created reality. And so all of her beliefs were being confronted by what I was saying, and as a result of that, she was starting to pull out of the conversation, which I was more than happy to do, because I don't tend to enjoy talking with people who are not in the practice about the positively focused practice, which is often the reason why when people ask me what I do for a living, I tell them as little as possible. So now I want to tell you another story that's related to this, and it perfectly illustrated what I told Amina. In a previous Worthiness Wednesday episode, I think it was last week, at the time of this airing, I was talking about a new client I received from the East Coast, a transgender person. This person owns her own telecommunication business. And when we first started talking in her free one-on-one session, she was talking about, she thought what I was offering. So I need to provide some context. She scheduled her free one-on-one because she had been on 8 dating websites trying to find a partner. She's lesbian, so she was trying to find a female partner. And none of these dating websites were providing her with candidates that were ideal to her. And so in frustration, a friend of hers, a transgender friend of hers in a monthly chat group that she belongs to, suggested that she come to me for support. And this person who recommended me had a misunderstanding of what I do. This person thought that I held some sort of a stable or group of people that I match people up with, and that's not what I do. And so this new client came to me hoping that I would match her up like that, and I told her that's not what I do. And when I explained to her what I do with the positively focused framework and how you can create an experience where effortlessly you attract the person that you're wanting to be in a relationship with, when I described that to her, she was like, oh yeah, I get this manifestation business. It's how I develop my job or my business. It's how I manifest this. It's how I manifest that. I'm really good at it. And she proceeded to show me these placards that she has strewn about her house. These placards that they're like printed out memes, printed out law of attraction memes that she has decorating her house. And what's really interesting about what she was sharing with me is that she was sharing with me exactly what Amina was talking about. This person believed that she was practicing this manifestation business by having these placards all over her house. And the challenge was, if she's really practicing this manifestation business, she would have a partner, or at least be eager, knowing that her partner exists in an alternate probable future and that she's aligning with that alternate probable future. But the fact is, she's not doing that. She was trying to make her partner happen by being on 8 different dating websites. So that told me that she wasn't practicing what she says she's practicing. What these cards she has all over her house was, to her, indicating. So in the next full session that we had, the first one she had after the free one-on-one, I began to walk her through the positively focused framework, the first phase of it. And as I did so, I could see her eyes getting bigger and bigger, because what she realized was, indeed, she believes in law of attraction. She believes manifestation is how reality is created, but she doesn't know it because she no longer knows it, because she's no longer practicing it as a full-time job. Because here's the thing, if you know, not if you believe, if you know that this manifestation business works, You're not going to let a single moment pass where you're not being deliberate about what you're thinking or focusing on or intending, because you know, based on evidence, that's the difference between believing and knowing. When you believe, you have a little tiny bit of evidence, but it's not enough evidence to convince you with conviction. When you know, you have a basket of evidence, and so you are convicted to the knowing of what you know. She doesn't know that this manifestation business works, even though she had manifested her business in this way. She had manifested a number of other things in her life using a practice like the one I offer. So the more we went into the early stages of the positively focused practice, the more she resonated with what I was sharing with her, and the more she realized that what she was doing prior to meeting me was she had simply become complacent with her law of attraction practice. What she called it, she said she had become lazy. And that's another indicator of whether or not people really know this practice. The words they're using is a clear indicator of whether or not people know this practice. When she described herself as being lazy, that told me that she did not know this practice because she wasn't aware of the words that were coming out of her mouth. The words that come out of your mouth are spells. You are literally creating reality with the words that come out of your mouth, alongside the thoughts that you're thinking and where you're putting your attention and how you're setting your intention. And so this person, when she said that she had become lazy in her practice, I told her, no, you have not become lazy. You allowed yourself to become complacent. And when I used that word, she relaxed into her chair and said, oh yeah. And I said, can you see the difference? Can you feel the difference between the vibration associated with the word lazy and the vibration associated with the word complacent? And she said, yes. And I said, that's right. Lazy is much more negatively oriented as far as a vibration is concerned than complacent. Now, all of my advanced clients, many of my advanced clients, and all of my masters, when they speak in session, I don't know what they're doing outside of session because I don't see them in their daily lives, but at least when they're in session, they're very particular about the words that they allow to come out of their mouth, because they know that the words coming out of their mouth are creating a reality. And that's why sometimes in these videos I create, you'll see me pause, because I'm pausing to allow. Allowing is a state of tuning. I'm pausing to tune or to allow I just did it. I'm tuning or allowing the right vibrational frequency to bring me the right word that I'm wanting that best matches what I'm wanting to convey vibrationally. And all of my masters are beginning to do the same thing. So here's the thing. If you're wanting to create a particular reality and you're not deliberately using every moment available to do that, and I'm not saying becoming like a fanatic about this practice, but really being discerning with regard to what's going on in your vibrational milieu, if you're not doing that, then most of the time you're probably creating indeliberately. You're creating unconsciously, or you're creating from a state of obliviousness or complacency. And in that state of awareness, that complacent or oblivious state of awareness, more often than not, what you're creating is whatever your dominant momentum is. And for most people, their dominant momentum is not positive. Their conscious dominant momentum. Here I go, I'm tuning again. Their default momentum is pure positive energy. But most people have been on this planet for decades, and as a result of that, they have sort of covered up that default momentum, that default pure positive energy, with a lot of distortion, mostly negative distortion, by focusing on things they don't want. And as a result of that, they develop a momentum that then becomes their dominant unconscious creative focus. You don't have to be one of those people. You can become a deliberate creator. You can become someone whose life is full of everything you want and none of what you don't want. It just takes deliberate focus, applied moment by moment. And you can do that. And the evidence that you can do that is your current life experience. You have focused moment by moment in a particular way, and that way has and is creating the reality you're currently experiencing. That's the evidence proving that you can do what I'm talking about in this video. You can create a life experience where there's nothing in it you don't want and everything in it that you do want. But in order to do that, you have to deliberately create on a moment-by-moment basis. And the payoff of it is not this life where everything you want is there and none of what you don't want is not there. That's not the payoff. The payoff is feeling bliss and joy and passion and love for everyone in your experience, and freedom and sovereignty and deep appreciation. That's the payoff. And the paradox of the payoff is when you feel those emotions, then you get what you want. Life is so good. The content of this video was so good. If you want to know more, I suggest you continue to watch these videos. Subscribe if you want to. If you're eager for more than that, I have links in the description of this video and my YouTube channel here where you can test drive a free session with me. Or if you're wanting even more than that, if you're ready to become a client and master this practice as all of my masters have, there's a link in the description where you can become a client. And in the meantime, I'll see you in the next video.